Hello folks, and welcome to yet another stand-mounted episode of the Audiophile Man. And we're here to review a pair of speakers, stand-mounted speakers, oddly enough, called the SP601 speakers from Fosi Audio. And that's how you pronounce the name of this company, Fosi. And when I looked upon the speakers out of the box, I was hit by a sense of deja vu. Why? Well, because these stand-mounted passive speakers spanning 352 by 210 by 290 millimeters and weighing in at 6.5 kilograms per speaker, they look familiar. They look, in fact, like a pair of Q Acoustics speakers. Not so much at the driver level. Oh no, that's distinctly Fosi in its choice and style. Not even the sockets at the rear, but the cabinet itself. That shape, those rounded corners, the cabinet itself screams Q Acoustics, which makes me wonder, does Fosi Audio have this venerable brand in its sights with the launch of the new DP601 speakers? Now, apart from the cabinet, to repeat, Fosi has taken its own path in terms of speaker design. It, I'm guessing, is looking to improve upon the Q Acoustics classic designs, but I was looking forward to the sonic tests nevertheless. In terms of that design, the SP601's 85 decibel sensitivity indicates that the speakers will need a bit of a push to get going, and I would suggest, and it's a guess, a 30-watt amplifier or more would be required, especially as these are 4-ohm speakers. Arriving with optional magnetic grills, although I reviewed these boxes with the grills firmly off, you will find two drivers within. Up top is a relatively large 38mm silk dome tweeter. Below is a hybrid mid-bass unit spanning 165mm while blending paper with aluminium. Dual mode binding posts are to be found around the back, just underneath a tuned bass port. It's an interesting design, but question is, how do they sound? Well, let's find out. Now, in software terms, I reached for CD and the CD version of the China Crisis album, Difficult Shapes and Passive Rhythms, which to me sounds like an album title for a later post-rock album, but this was the band's debut in 1982. I played the single, or one of the singles off that album, African and White, a track which offers big bass possibilities, and a track that fights against more delicate guitar and secondary percussion. This track would be a good challenge. Now, because my immediate thoughts of the 601s swerved towards Q Acoustics, as I've said, I decided to bring out the Q Acoustics Big Gun Classics, just to see how the 601s fared in sonic terms. I began lower cost, smaller in stature, and I chose the 3020i speakers, which sit within, as I say, a smaller version of the 601's cabinets. The 3020i's are balanced in sonic terms, they are full of detail, and they are supremely neutral. In comparison, the 601's showed that they didn't have quite the same level of neutrality of the 3020i speakers, but they did exhibit a wealth of highlights right across the soundstage. For example, that larger cabinet really paid dividends. The 601s offered a big and bold bass. They had a real sonic presence, akin to a tank, especially for the cabinet size and that price. These speakers provided a solid, weighty bass that pushed through the music with some confidence. I also heard more space and air around the upper mids from the 601s, while the mid-range was slightly more aggressive than the 3020i's, and that showed itself during crescendos. I was impressed with the detail extraction from the 601s and the tonal realism from the likes of percussion and acoustic guitar. Changing to vinyl now, and Peggy Lee's I've Got You Under My Skin, and I moved up the scale to the rather larger Q Acoustics 3030i speakers. fetching a similar price on the Q Acoustics website to the 601s. The cabinet of the 3030Is has that same curved corner approach to the 601s. Now the cabinet size of the 601s is a bit taller, but the 3030Is, well, they are a little bit deeper. Now I rate the 3030i speakers very highly indeed, and I'll put some review links for both of the Q Acoustic speakers down below, and if I can find them, up above. The 3030Is are classic low-cost speakers. What shocked me was how closely the 601s sounded by comparison. The 601s were, again, not quite as neutral in overall presentation. Again, vocal, string, or brass crescendos being a good example of that, slight aggression again. But the 601s did actually improve in certain areas over the 3030Is. The bass was bigger, it was deeper, it was more ominous in its delivery, while the upper mids and treble had a more spacious and airy and extended delivery. And that's the basic review of these speakers. Let me give you a few final thoughts. I have some of those to give you. I also have some pros and cons and a rating to give you too. So let's get on with that. Now, I could be way off base. Maybe I'm missing the mark by a mile here, but I do feel that Fosi has gone after Q Acoustic with the new 601 speakers. In some areas, the attempt hasn't been completely successful in terms of neutrality, and note the slightly aggressive mids. But in other areas of the sonic envelope, Fosi has been more than successful, landing several blows on the Q Acoustics classic speaker series, at least when it comes down to the 3020i and the 3030i designs. And both of those are low-cost and highly desirable classics, I would say. The amount of information retrieval from the 601s is impressive indeed, while that tight, forceful bass is a real headline feature. So bottom line then, if strict neutrality is ultra important, the 601s might not be for you. But if you want a lively, energetic performance from your speakers with plenty of detail and tonal accuracy to boot, then grab these speakers with both hands. And that's it, folks. Thanks very much for staying to the end of this particular video. Before you go, can you click downstairs, please, on the like and subscribe buttons? Just helps the old channel, you know, in all that algorithm wonder and amazement. In addition, I will put links below, firstly to Fosi Audio itself and these speakers. If you want to know more, I will also put my own links down below to my website, which has all kinds of stuff there you won't find here, my Facebook page, which you're welcome to join, my Facebook group, rather, which you're welcome to join, and my Patreon page. If you can support me over there, it helps to fund this channel. And there's all kinds of exclusives over there in terms of written material and videos, hi-fi music, all kinds of stuff. Check it out. I'll be back on probably Friday with something music-y, maybe Saturday with something hi-fi newsy, and then on a Sunday with a review, all things being equal. Fingers crossed, hey, we'll see. Anyway, hope to have your company then. Until then, folks, bye-bye for now.